bit of a haunted history. Ashcroft came about because of the CPR being built and a train station and depot being built here in Ashcroft. So that meant a lot of people came to the area. The gold rush was more or less finished in terms of people making their fortune in the gold fields by the 1880s. So a lot of people came here and they found there was a lot of money to be made in setting up the services that would provide things for the people heading up north. We really got a good start as a supply hub, a transportation hub, and that attracted a lot of different people from all over. So we had Chinese workers coming here, we had Europeans, we had Americans, we had people from across Canada. And of course, they brought all their stories and their histories with them. And if you talk to a lot of people who've lived around here for a while, we've got some reminders of those old times in the form not only of old buildings, but some ghosts. The site of the Ashcroft Village office now used to be the Lady Minto Hospital, which was built in 1912. And a lot of people who have worked in the building over the years have seen something that they can't explain, and it's not as definite as a figure. They get an impression of a man, a dark man, or a dark-haired man who's standing there, and when they go to look at him, he's not there anymore. Now, he tends to manifest himself when there's a lot of activity in the building, a lot of noise, or something unusual going on. And what he does, which is really strange, is he will turn on the water in the tap in the men's bathroom. And so sometimes you're alerted to his presence, and I've had this happen to me while I was in there, that suddenly the water will start going in the sink and there's no one in the office to use it, no one's been in the washroom. And so combined with the fact that he doesn't like noise and bother and fuss, and the fact that he seems to like having the water on and using running water, there are thoughts that it might be Dr. George Sanson, who was the medical officer at the Lady Minto Hospital back in the 1910s.
We talked to the mayor, who had a great deal of knowledge about the town's haunted history, which was great and very much appreciated. And then we kind of set out on our tour, which was basically like taking a ghost tour of this town, which is really very close to where I live. But I had no idea it had sort of a haunted history associated with it. So Barbara actually took us to the village office, which used to be a hospital in the village, rumored to be haunted by a Dr. George Sampson.
There you go.
That's awesome.
From what I can tell, the ghost or apparition or whatever you want to call it has been sort of seen all over the building. He tends to mostly be up here. Well, Dr. Sanson, I think, that's the name that I've heard over the years, who was our former medical officer here in Ashcroft 110 years ago. That seems to be the consensus, that it might be him, because he cared very passionately about the area. He was very dedicated, and the fact that he doesn't like the noise, doesn't like commotion. It used to be a hospital. He turns the water on, running water, cleanliness. That's very much a medical doctor sort of thing. So it makes sense. Yeah. If there's going to be anyone associated with the building and haunting it, he's a perfect fit.
And his name's Dr.
Dr. Sanson.
Sanson.
S-O-N. His name is George.
Okay, cool.
I mean, I would never call him George. It would be far too far.
So Barbara, what this is basically, this is what's called a spirit box, and it's basically a radio that's been jacked up, and it jumps through frequencies. It's like scanning frequencies, and the theory behind it is that we can catch voices coming through at certain frequencies, and they project through via the radio. The thing about it is that people put it down to, sometimes they put it down to like static or radio stations and stuff like that. But the thing is about these, because it's scanning at a certain speed, when we get voices on there as well, it's almost impossible to catch a radio station because of the speed it's going. Because it would have, by the time you've got a glimpse of, say, a song, it would have already gone through that cycle and gone to the next frequency along. So is there a Dr. Sanson here at all? Again, is there a Dr. Sanson here at all? Sir George here.
So I was in this room here, and I was waiting for someone to come and join me. And so it was a bright sunny day, and there was lots of light coming through the door down the steps. And I'd never been in this part of the building before, which was then empty. And I was standing in here, just kind of looking around, and I heard a noise behind me. So I went, and as I got to where the door is, I saw like a shadow move across, as if someone had passed in front of the door.
What? That door was wide open.
That door was wide open. None of this was in here at the time. So by the time I saw the shadow when I was standing here, so I immediately took 6 steps out to here, and there was no one in the hallway. And I didn't hear anything. Like there was no sound of someone scurrying to go and hide.
Was it like ion, or was it to the side?
It was to the side. Out of this corner of my eye, I saw a shadow move across here.
Very good.
Interesting.
So that was. I didn't feel frightened. Like there was nothing that kind of like I didn't, no goosebumps or the hair on the back of my neck stood up or anything. Nothing like that.
You don't get that feeling when you're in here anyway, do you? You can.
It's not a bad feeling place at all. Like there's nothing really
No.
bored or.
And the people.
A cozy feeling.
Bearing in mind it's a hospital as well.
Yes, the people who've encountered if it is Dr. Sanson, the people who say they've seen something or sensed something have never felt frightened. Like no one I've talked to has said they felt frightened or apprehensive or alarmed. It was just more, he's back, or here he is again. Or,
So when did he depart? When did he pass away?
I don't know when he died, actually. I've never looked that up. As I say, he was the medical officer here, so he was kind of the Bonnie Henry of his day in the 1912, 1914 through the war years. So
It's 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he there was stuff, if you go back through the archives of the newspaper, you see letters from him talking to people about, the necessity of, during the pandemic of the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918, 1919, he was, encouraging people to wash their hands.
I believe there's something
sanitize.
in the museum about him.
Yeah. They've got something up at the Clinton Museum, because he used to go up there. His old sled, his cutter is up there in the Clinton Museum. So he was very keen on cleanliness and hygiene back in the day. He recognized the importance of it, particularly when the Spanish flu pandemic hit. But he was telling people, don't burn rubbish in your backyards because it's bad for the air and it hurts your neighbors.
Wow, even though back then he knew.
Even back then he knew that and was preaching the gospel.
Things that we should be doing now.
Things we should be doing now or not doing, like don't throw oily rags on the bonfire in your backyard. So no one, he's a very peaceful spirit. I guess that's probably the best word. No one feels alarmed.
Has anyone ever heard any voices?
Not that I've ever heard, no. And as far as I know, no one's ever come here, looking to try and find him. I mean, when he does manifest, it's completely random and unexpected, which is kind of why it's surprising that no one has ever felt frightened, because when something like that happens, conventionally you're supposed to be all nervous and upset and everything.
The first natural reaction is fear.
And no one feels that. No one, and again, a medical person, they are supposed to be reassuring.
Yeah, no, they are. They come. Okay, we'll try a quick spirit.
We'll take a quick session.
Outside,
Yeah.
and then we can
Move on.
Dr. George Sanson, are you here? Is there anyone else that's with us right now that would like to talk to us? How many of us are down here? How many people can you see?
Seven. Six. There's 6 down here, though.
Yes.
7 could be. 7 in the building.
Could you tell us your name, please?
that? George? George. You heard George.
Is that George Sanson? Do we have George Sanson here? Do we have a doctor here?
As far as what we found in Ashcroft, there weren't too many, I'd say, concrete pieces of evidence. It was mostly to do with the spirit box itself, and its responses I found not to be super specific. They could have been interpreted in several ways as I heard them, and they could have worked towards they could have sounded like something that would have been said by the ghosts that we were told were there, or they could have been just kind of vocalizations or words that just could have sounded like many things. So for me, I didn't necessarily hear anything super concrete. So overall, yeah, Ashcroft, fascinating place, fascinating history, fascinating people. Overall, good investigation.